The fluorescent lights of the Walmart flickered like a dying star, casting jagged shadows across the near-empty parking lot. It was 1 a.m. and I, Nora Callahan, was chasing ghosts in the snack aisle, my boots echoing on the linoleum like a metronome to my unraveling life. I hadn't slept in days, not since the fight with my sister that left me raw, questioning everything. My choices, my heart, my place in this small Ohio town. I tossed a bag of Doritos into my cart, the crinkle of the bag louder than it should have been in the eerie quiet. The store was a maze of fluorescent glare and canned music, a place where time felt suspended. I was 28, single and stuck in a dead-end job at a local garage, fixing cars by day and my broken self by night. My leather jacket smelled of motor oil and regret, and I wondered if I'd ever escape the weight of my own mistakes. That's when I saw her. She stood by the frozen foods, her long black hair cascading over a cream-colored sweater, a scarf loosely draped around her neck like she'd stepped out of a winter painting. She was maybe 30, with warm brown eyes that caught the light as she studied a tub of ice cream, her lips pursed in thought. There was something about her, soft yet fierce, like she carried a story she wasn't ready to tell. I froze, my heart thudding against my ribs, the Doritos forgotten. I wasn't supposed to be here. I'd only come because sleep wouldn't, and the fridge at home was as empty as my resolve. But now, watching her, I felt something shift. A spark, a pull, like the universe had nudged me toward her aisle. Rocky Road or mint chocolate chip? Her voice broke the silence, low and melodic, directed at me. I blinked, realizing she'd caught me staring. My cheeks burned, but I managed a half-smile. Mint, I said, my voice rougher than I meant. It's refreshing. She laughed, a sound like wind chimes, and held up the Rocky Road. I'm a sucker for complicated. Her eyes held mine, and I swear the air thickened. I'm Elise. Nora, I replied, my name feeling foreign in my mouth. I wanted to say more, but words felt clumsy, like they couldn't capture the sudden ache in my chest. We stood there, two strangers in a fluorescent-lit limbo, talking about ice cream like it was a lifeline. She was a photographer new to town, chasing stories through her lens. I told her about the garage, about my sister's wedding I wasn't invited to, about how I felt like I was drowning in a life I didn't choose. She listened, really listened, her eyes never leaving mine, and for the first time in years I felt seen. The conversation stretched, minutes turning into an hour, the store fading around us. She told me about her childhood in Chicago, about losing her mom young, about how she found solace in capturing moments that others overlooked. I told her about my dad, who left when I was 10, and how I'd been running from his absence ever since. It was raw, unguarded, like we'd known each other forever. Do you ever feel like you're waiting for something but you don't know what? Elise asked, leaning against her cart. Her scarf slipped, revealing a small tattoo of a crescent moon on her collarbone. I wanted to trace it, to ask what it meant, but I just nodded. All the time, I said. Like I'm stuck in a holding pattern. She smiled, soft and knowing. Maybe you're just waiting for the right moment. The overhead speakers crackled, announcing the store's closing in 10 minutes. Panic flickered in my chest. I wasn't ready to let her go. Can I see you again? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Elise tilted her head, her eyes searching mine. I'm at the coffee shop on Main Street tomorrow, 10 a.m. If you're there, I'll buy you a latte. I grinned, relief flooding me. Deal. As we parted ways, her cart rolling toward the checkout, I stood by the frozen foods, clutching my Doritos like a lifeline. The night felt different now, alive with possibility. I didn't know it then, but that chance encounter in a Walmart aisle was the beginning of everything. A love that would challenge me, break me, and rebuild me in ways I never imagined. The drive home was a blur, the Ohio sky heavy with stars. I replayed every word, every glance, her laugh echoing in my mind. Elise. Her name felt like a promise, one I was desperate to keep. But doubt crept in, as it always did. I was a mechanic with calloused hands and a fractured family. She was a dreamer with a camera and a heart full of stories. Could someone like her ever want someone like me? When I got home, my apartment was cold, the silence deafening. I dropped the Doritos on the counter and stared at my reflection in the dark window. For the first time in years, I saw a flicker of hope in my own eyes. Tomorrow I'd go to that coffee shop. Tomorrow I'd take a chance. But life, as I'd learn, had a way of complicating even the simplest plans. The coffee shop on Main Street smelled of roasted beans and second chances. I arrived early, my hands shoved deep in my jacket pockets, the leather creaking as I shifted nervously. The morning light streamed through the windows, painting the wooden tables golden, but my stomach churned with a mix of hope and fear. I'd barely slept, replaying Elise's smile, her voice, the way her eyes seemed to see straight through me. At 28, I wasn't used to feeling this way, vulnerable, exposed like a wire-stripped bear. I scanned the room, half expecting her not to show, but then the bell above the door chimed, and there she was. Elise walked in, her camera slung over her shoulder, her scarf replaced by a denim jacket that hugged her frame. She spotted me and smiled, a slow, warm curve that made my knees weak. "You came," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. "Couldn't miss a free latte," I quipped, but my voice betrayed my nerves. She laughed, ordering for us both, and soon we were sipping coffee, the world narrowing to just us. We talked for hours, the conversation flowing like a river. She showed me photos on her camera, snippets of her life in Chicago, street musicians, kids playing in parks, a sunset over Lake Michigan that stole my breath. I told her about the cars I fixed, how I loved the puzzle of engines but hated the grease that never left my hands. She reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine, and said, "Your hands tell a story, Nora. They're beautiful." I blushed, pulling back, unaccustomed to compliments. But her touch lingered, a warmth that spread through me like wildfire. She asked about my dreams, and I admitted I didn't have many, or at least I hadn't let myself. "I used to want to leave this town," I said. "See the world." But life got in the way. Elise leaned forward, her eyes intense. "It's never too late to start dreaming again." Her words hit hard, cracking open something I'd buried long ago. I wanted to believe her, but doubt was an old friend, whispering that I wasn't enough. Still, I clung to the moment, to her belief in me. As we left the coffee shop, the autumn air crisp and biting, Elise suggested a walk. We wandered down Main Street, past antique shops and a bookstore with faded signs. She stopped to snap photos, a cracked sidewalk, a stray cat, the way the light hit a rusted fire hydrant. "Beauty's everywhere," she said. "You just have to look." I watched her, mesmerized by her passion, her way of seeing the world. I wanted to be part of it, to be someone she'd photograph, someone worth capturing. "Can I see you again?" I asked, bolder this time. She grinned, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "There's a harvest festival tomorrow night at the town square. Meet me there." I nodded, my heart racing. It's a date. The word date hung in the air, electric and terrifying. I'd never been with a woman, not like this. Growing up in a small town, I'd buried those feelings, convinced they were wrong, impossible. But Elise was rewriting the rules, and I was falling fast. That night I lay awake, the festival looming in my mind. I imagined dancing with her under string lights, her hand in mine, the world fading away. But reality crashed in. My sister Claire would be there. Claire, who'd called me a disappointment when I came out to her last year, who hadn't spoken to me since. The festival was her territory, her perfect life on display with her fiancé and their church friends. Could I face her with Elise by my side? The next evening, the town square buzzed with laughter, music, and the smell of apple cider. I wore my best flannel, my hair tamed for once, but nerves gnawed at me. Elise was waiting by a hay bale, her camera around her neck, her smile brighter than the fairy lights above. "You look nice," she said, and I felt like I could conquer anything. We wandered the festival, sharing cotton candy, her fingers brushing mine as we passed stalls. She snapped photos of kids on hayrides, of old couples dancing, of me when I wasn't looking. "You're photogenic," she teased, showing me a shot of myself laughing, my eyes alive in a way I hadn't seen in years. But then I saw Claire. She stood by the cider stand, her blonde hair perfect, her fiancé's arm around her. Our eyes met, and her smile faltered. I froze, Elise's hand grazing my arm. "You okay?" she asked, sensing the shift. I nodded, but my chest tightened. Claire approached, her expression a mix of curiosity and judgment. Nora, she said, her voice clipped. Didn't expect to see you here. Claire, I replied, my throat dry. I introduced Elise, my voice shaking. Claire's eyes flicked to Elise, then back to me, her disapproval palpable. This is new, she said, and I felt the weight of her words like a punch. Elise stepped closer, her presence grounding me. Nora's been showing me around, she said smoothly. This town's got a lot of heart. Claire's smile was tight. Sure. Enjoy. She walked away, leaving a chill in her wake. Elise squeezed my hand. You don't owe her anything, she whispered. You're enough just as you are. Her words were a lifeline, but the night felt heavier now. As we danced under the lights, Elise's arms around me, I wanted to believe her. But Claire's shadow lingered, a reminder of the battles I'd yet to face. The festival lights blurred as Elise pulled me closer, her hand warm in mine. The music, a soft country ballad, wrapped around us, but Claire's cold stare burned in my memory. I wanted to lose myself in Elise, in the way she moved, confident yet gentle, but fear clawed at me, fear of judgment, of losing the fragile hope she'd sparked. We left the dance floor, finding a quiet corner by a pumpkin display. Elise sat on a hay bale, her camera resting beside her, and patted the space next to her. Talk to me, Nora, she said, her voice soft but firm. What's going on? I hesitated, the words stuck in my throat, but her eyes, warm and steady, coaxed them out. Claire, she's my sister, I said. We haven't talked since I told her I'm you know. I couldn't say the word, not yet. Lesbian. It felt like a label I didn't deserve, like I hadn't earned the right to claim it. Elise nodded, no judgment in her gaze. She hurt you, she said simply. But she doesn't get to define you. I swallowed hard, my hands twisting in my lap. I came out to her last year, after years of hiding. She called me a sinner, said I was throwing my life away. She's getting married next month, and I'm not invited. It's like I don't exist to her anymore. Elise's hand found mine, her thumb tracing circles on my skin. That's her loss, Nora. Not yours. You're allowed to be who you are. Her words were a balm, but the wound was deep. I told her about growing up in this town, where church was law and being different was a crime. How I dated guys to fit in. Each relationship a lie that left me hollow. How I'd known deep down that I loved women, but fear had kept me silent. Until Elise. She listened, her presence a quiet strength. Then she shared her own story. Coming out in Chicago, the friends who became her family when her dad walked away. The freedom she found in living authentically. It's not easy, she said. But it's worth it. You're worth it. Her words lit something inside me. A spark of courage I hadn't felt before. I leaned closer, our shoulders brushing, and for a moment the world was just us. Two women carving out a space for truth in a town that didn't always want it. The festival ended and we walked to my truck, the night air cool against my skin. Elise paused by the passenger door, her eyes catching the moonlight. Can I kiss you? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. My heart stopped, then raced. I nodded, unable to speak. Her lips met mine, soft and tentative at first, then deeper, a promise of something real. It was my first kiss with a woman, and it felt like coming home. But the high didn't last. The next day I was back at the garage, grease under my nails, my mind replaying the kiss. My coworker Mike noticed my distraction. You okay, Callahan? He asked, tossing me a wrench. You look like you're in love or something. I laughed it off, but his words stung. Love. Was that what this was? Felt too big, too fast. And then there was Claire. Her wedding was in 3 weeks, and the town was buzzing with preparations. I saw her face on flyers at the diner. Her smile perfect and unattainable. Each one was a reminder of the family I'd lost. I texted Elise and we met at a park that evening. The sunset painting the sky in pinks and oranges. She brought her camera, snapping photos of the trees, the pond, me. You're my favorite subject, she said, her lens capturing me in a way that made me feel beautiful, not broken. But as we sat on a bench, her hand in mine, she sensed my unease. What's holding you back, Nora? She asked. I see it in your eyes, you're fighting something. I took a deep breath, the truth spilling out. I'm scared. Of what people will say, of losing more than I already have. Claire's wedding, it's like a line in the sand. If I show up with you, it's real. There's no going back. Elise squeezed my hand. You don't have to decide now. But whatever you choose, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Her words were a lifeline, but the weight of the choice pressed down on me. I wanted her, wanted us, but the cost felt steep. That night, I dreamed of Claire's wedding, of standing alone in a sea of judgmental faces, Elise's hand slipping from mine. The next morning, I got a text from Claire. We need to talk. Meet me at Mom's house, 7 p.m. My stomach dropped. Mom's house was a shrine to our past, filled with photos of happier times, before Dad left, before Claire turned her back on me. What did she want now? I told Elise, and she offered to come with me. You don't have to face her alone, she said. But I shook my head. This was my fight, my family. I had to do it alone. As I drove to Mom's, the Ohio fields stretching endlessly around me, I felt the weight of the moment. Claire was waiting, and whatever she had to say would change everything. I just didn't know if I was ready for it. Mom's house smelled of lavender and old memories, the kind that cling to you like dust. I stood in the living room, surrounded by framed photos of Claire and me as kids, our smiles frozen in a time before everything broke. Claire sat on the couch, her hands folded tightly, her engagement ring glinting under the lamp. Thanks for coming, she said, her voice clipped but softer than at the festival. I didn't expect you to bring someone last night. I bristled, my defenses up. Elise is important to me, I said, the words sharper than I meant. You'd know that if we actually talked. Claire flinched, and for a moment I saw the sister I used to know, before the church, before the judgment. I'm trying, Nora, she said. I don't understand this. But I'm trying. Her words caught me off guard. Trying? After a year of silence, of cutting me out like I was a stain? I wanted to scream, but I saw the strain in her eyes, the way her hands trembled. Why now? I asked. Because of the wedding? Because you saw me with her. Claire looked away, her jaw tight. Mom's been asking about you. She misses you. And I saw you with Elise. You looked happy. I haven't seen you like that in years. Her admission hit like a freight train. I sank into a chair, the fight draining out of me. I'm happy with her, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. But I'm scared, Claire. Scared of losing you, Mom, this town. Scared of being me. Claire's eyes softened, and for the first time, I saw a crack in her armor. I don't know how to do this, she said. The church, my friends, they say it's wrong. But you're my sister. I don't want to lose you either. We sat in silence, the weight of our fractured bond heavy between us. She told me about the pressure she felt, her fiancé's family, the church's expectations, the perfect life she was supposed to live. I told her about Elise, about the Walmart aisle, the coffee shop, the kiss that changed everything. It wasn't easy, but it was honest, and for the first time in a year we talked like sisters. I want you at the wedding, Claire said finally. But I need time. Can you give me that? I nodded, my throat tight. Yeah, I can try. Driving home I felt lighter, but the road ahead was still unclear. Claire's words were a step, but they weren't acceptance, not yet. I texted Elise and she met me at a diner, her camera on the table, her smile a beacon in my storm. How'd it go? She asked, sliding into the booth across from me. I told her everything, the words tumbling out. She listened, her hand finding mine under the table. You're brave, Nora, she said. Braver than you know. Her faith in me was a lifeline, but the town wasn't done testing me. The next day at the garage, Mike cornered me. Heard you were at the festival with some girl, he said, his tone teasing but sharp. You switching teams now, Callahan? I froze, my wrench slipping in my hand. Mike was a friend, but this was new territory. What if I am? I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. He raised an eyebrow, then shrugged. Your life, your call. Just don't expect everyone to get it. His words echoed Claire's, a reminder of the tightrope I was walking. That night, Elise invited me to her apartment, a small loft filled with photos and soft light. She cooked pasta and we ate on the floor laughing over spilled wine. She showed me more of her work, photos of protests, of pride parades, of people living unapologetically. This is what I want, she said. To capture truth. To live it. I kissed her then harder than before, desperate to hold on to the courage she gave me. But as we lay together later, her head on my chest, doubt crept back. Claire's wedding was 2 weeks away. If I brought Elise, it would be a statement, a line I couldn't uncross. The next week was a blur of work and stolen moments with Elise. We hiked in the state park, her camera clicking as we laughed under the trees. We kissed in her car, the radio playing softly, the world ours for a moment. But the wedding loomed and with it the choice. Hide who I was or step into the light. Then came the call. Claire, her voice shaking. Nora, it's Mom. She's in the hospital. Heart attack. The world tilted. I drove to the hospital, Elise by my side, her hand on my knee. Mom was stable, but seeing her in that bed, tubes snaking from her arms, shattered me. Claire was there, her eyes red from crying. She's asking for you, she said. I sat by Mom's bed, her hand frail in mine. Nora, she whispered. I've missed you. Tears burned my eyes. I'm here, Mom. I'm not going anywhere. Elise waited outside, giving us space. Claire stood by the door, watching, her expression unreadable. In that moment I realized family wasn't just blood, it was the people who saw you who stayed. And Elise was part of that now. But as Mom slept, Claire pulled me aside. If you bring her to the wedding, she said, her voice low, people will talk. Are you ready for that? I looked at her. Then at Elise through the hospital window, her silhouette strong and steady. I'm ready, I said, and for the first time I believed it. The hospital's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, a stark reminder of the fragility of life. Mom was stable, but her heart attack had shaken me to my core, stripping away the noise of doubt and fear. Elise drove me home, her hand steady on mine, her presence a quiet anchor in the storm. Back at my apartment I collapsed onto the couch, the weight of the day pressing down. Elise sat beside me, her camera on the coffee table, its lens catching the dim light. You okay? She asked, her voice soft but searching. I shook my head, tears spilling over. I almost lost her. And Claire, she's trying, but it's not enough. I want to be at her wedding with you, but I'm terrified. Elise pulled me close, her arms a safe harbor. You don't have to do this alone, she said. Whatever happens, I'm with you. Her words steadied me, but the choice loomed larger than ever. The wedding was 10 days away, and the town was alive with gossip, about Mom, about Claire's perfect day, about me. I heard whispers at the garage, saw sidelong glances at the diner. Nora Callahan, the lesbian. The word was out and it felt like a brand. Elise stayed over that night, her warmth beside me a reminder of what I was fighting for. We talked until dawn, about her dreams of a gallery show, about my secret wish to travel, to see the world beyond Ohio. She made me believe it was possible, that I could be more than my past. The next day I visited Mom again. She was stronger, her smile weak but real. You look different, she said, her voice hoarse. Happier. I told her about Elise, my words tentative at first, then stronger. Mom listened, her eyes softening. Love is love, Nora, she said. Don't let anyone take that from you. Her words were a gift, a blessing I hadn't expected. But Claire was another story. She called me that evening, her tone tense. People are talking, she said, about you and Elise. If you bring her to the wedding, it'll overshadow everything. Anger flared, but I kept my voice steady. This isn't about you, Claire. It's about me living my truth. She was silent for a long moment. I just want my day to be perfect, she said finally. Can't you understand that? I do, I said. But I need you to understand me. The call ended, and I felt the rift between us widen. Elise sensed my turmoil and suggested we get out of town for a day. We drove to Columbus, her camera capturing the city's vibrancy, street art, bustling markets, people living freely. We held hands in a park unafraid, and for a moment, I glimpsed the life I wanted. But back in town, reality waited. At the garage, Mike's teasing turned sharp, his buddies joining in. Heard you're bringing a date to the wedding, one said, smirking. Hope she's ready for the stairs. I clenched my jaw, focusing on the engine in front of me. But their words cut deep, sowing seeds of doubt. Was I ready? Was Elise? That night I told her about the comments, my fears spilling out. What if this is too much? I asked. What if I'm not strong enough? Elise took my face in her hands, her eyes fierce. You are stronger than you know, Nora. And I'm not here for easy. I'm here for you. Her faith carried me through the next few days. We spent every moment together. Cooking, laughing, kissing in the quiet of her loft. She showed me a photo she'd taken of me at the festival, my face lit with joy. This is who you are, she said. Don't let anyone dim that. The wedding was 3 days away when Claire called again. I've been thinking, she said, her voice softer. Bring Elise. I want you there, Nora. Both of you. I was stunned, tears pricking my eyes. You mean it? I do, she said. I'm not saying it's easy, but you're my sister. I love you. The call ended and I ran to Elise, my heart soaring. We danced in her kitchen, the radio blaring, our laughter filling the space. But as the wedding approached, nerves crept back. This was more than a ceremony, it was a declaration. I was stepping into my truth, and there was no turning back. The night before the wedding, Elise and I sat on her balcony, the stars bright above. Whatever happens tomorrow, she said, we face it together. I nodded, my hand in hers, the weight of her promise grounding me. Tomorrow I'd walk into that church with Elise by my side, my head high. Tomorrow I'd choose love over fear, over judgment, over everything. But as I'd learned, love wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. The church was a sea of pastel dresses and whispered gossip, the air thick with the scent of lilies and expectation. I stood at the entrance, Elise's hand in mine, her navy dress a quiet contrast to my green one, chosen to match her eyes. My heart pounded, but her steady grip kept me grounded. You ready? She whispered, her smile a lifeline. I nodded, though my stomach twisted. Let's do this. We stepped inside and heads turned. Whispers rippled through the pews, eyes narrowing as they took in our linked hands. I saw Mike from the garage, his expression unreadable, and Mrs. Larson from the diner, her lips pursed. But I also saw Mom seated near the front, her smile weak but warm. She waved and I felt a surge of strength. Claire's wedding was beautiful, white roses, soft music, her fiancé beaming as she walked down the aisle. I sat with Elise, our shoulders touching, her presence a shield against the stairs. During the ceremony, Claire caught my eye, her smile tentative but real. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. At the reception, held in a barn strung with fairy lights, the tension eased. Elise pulled me onto the dance floor, her laughter infectious as we swayed to a slow song. You're doing great, she whispered, her breath warm against my ear. But not everyone was kind. A group of Claire's church friends hovered nearby, their whispers sharp. Disgraceful, one muttered. At a wedding, no less. I stiffened, but Elise squeezed my hand. Ignore them, she said. They don't matter. I tried, but the words stung. When Claire approached, her face tight, I braced myself. I'm sorry, she said, glancing at her friends. They don't speak for me. I'm glad you're here. Her words were a balm, but the night wasn't over. As we danced, a man, Claire's fiancé's uncle, approached, his face red from wine. You two think this is a place to flaunt that? He slurred, gesturing at our joined hands. Elise stepped forward, her voice calm but steel-edged. We're here to celebrate love, same as you. If that bothers you, that's your problem. The man scoffed but backed off, and I felt a rush of pride. Elise wasn't just my partner. She was my protector, my equal. We danced again, the music drowning out the whispers, her arms around me, a world of their own. Later, Mom pulled me aside, her eyes bright with tears. I'm proud of you, Nora, she said. For being you. For bringing her. I hugged her, tears spilling over. Thanks, Mom. The night ended with Elise and me sitting on a hay bale outside, the stars above us endless. You were incredible, she said, her hand cupping my face. You faced them all. So did you, I said, kissing her softly. I couldn't have done it without you. but the victory was bittersweet. The next day the town buzzed with gossip. At the garage Mike was quieter, his jokes gone. "People are talking," he said. "Just watch your back." His warning chilled me, but Elise's presence kept me steady. We spent the next week together, her loft a sanctuary. She showed me plans for her gallery show, photos that told stories of resilience and love. "I want you in it," she said. "Your story matters." I blushed, still unused to being seen. But her belief in me was changing that slowly but surely. We talked about the future, leaving Ohio, traveling, building a life together. Felt like a dream, but with her it seemed possible. Then came the call that changed everything. "Claire," her voice urgent. "Nora, someone vandalized Elise's car. Spray paint slurs. It's bad." I raced to Elise's apartment, my heart in my throat. Her car was parked outside, the windows smeared with hateful words. "Dyke sinner, worse." Elise stood there, her camera in hand, her face pale but resolute. "I'm documenting this," she said. "They don't get to silence us." I pulled her into my arms, rage and fear warring inside me. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. "This is because of me." "No," she said fiercely. "This is because of them. Their hate, not ours." We called the police, but their response was lukewarm. Small-town cops with little interest in a minor crime. Elise refused to back down, filing a report, taking photos, turning pain into purpose. "This is why I do what I do," she said. "To show the world what they try to hide." Her strength inspired me, but the incident shook us both. That night we lay in her bed, the darkness heavy. "I'm scared," I admitted. "What if it gets worse?" "Then we face it," she said, her voice steady. "Together." As I drifted to sleep, her arms around me, I knew she was right. Love wasn't easy, not in a town like this, not with a world that pushed back. But it was worth it. Elise was worth it. The spray paint lingered on Elise's car, a scar we couldn't erase. We scrubbed it for hours, the hateful words fading but not forgotten. The town felt smaller, its edges sharper, but Elise's resolve was unshakable. "They don't get to win," she said, her camera clicking as she documented the aftermath. I wanted to believe her, but fear was a stubborn guest. Days passed and the incident rippled through our lives. At the garage, Mike was distant, his silence louder than his usual banter. Customers whispered, their eyes lingering too long. I felt exposed, like every glance was a judgment. But Elise was a beacon, her hand in mine a quiet rebellion against the hate. We decided to fight back, not with anger but with truth. Elise's gallery show was a month away, and she poured herself into it, curating photos that told stories of love, resilience, and defiance. She asked me to help, to share my story through her lens. "You're part of this," she said. "Your courage, your heart. It's what this show is about." I hesitated, the weight of exposure heavy, but her belief in me was stronger than my doubt. We spent nights in her loft, sorting photos, writing captions, planning the exhibit. One photo stood out, a candid of me at the festival, laughing, my eyes bright with hope. "This is you," Elise said, pinning it to the wall. "This is us." The show was held in a small Columbus gallery, a world away from our town's judgment. The room buzzed with people. Artists, activists, strangers who saw beauty in Elise's work. My photo hung at the center, captioned, "Finding Home in Her." I stood beside it, Elise's arm around me, my heart swelling with pride. Claire came, her presence a surprise. She studied the photos, her eyes lingering on mine. "I didn't know," she said softly, "how much this means to you." "It's everything," I said, my voice steady. "She's everything." Claire nodded, tears in her eyes. "I'm learning, Nora. I want to understand." It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Mom came too, her health fragile but her spirit strong. She hugged Elise, her smile warm. "You make my daughter happy," she said. "That's all I need to know." The show was a success, but the real victory was us, standing together, unapologetic. We drove back to town, the night sky endless above us. "I want to leave," I said, the words spilling out. "Not just this town, but this fear. I want to live, really live with you." Elise smiled, her hand on mine. "Then let's do it. Anywhere you want." We started planning. A trip to California, a new start. The garage, the gossip, the weight of the past, it all felt smaller now. Elise's photos had shown me who I could be, and her love had shown me I was enough. Months later, we stood on a California beach, the ocean stretching before us. Elise's camera clicked, capturing the waves, the sunset, Maine. "You're my home, Nora," she said, her voice soft against the wind. "And you're mine," I replied, kissing her, the salt on her lips mingling with my tears. Back in Ohio, Claire sent letters, small steps toward reconciliation. Mom called weekly, her voice stronger each time. The town still whispered, but their voices no longer defined me. I'd found my truth in a Walmart aisle, in a woman who saw me when I couldn't see myself. Love wasn't a destination. It was a journey, messy and beautiful, terrifying and true. Elise and I were just beginning, but as we stood on that beach, her hand in mine, I knew we'd face whatever came next. Together. The stars above us were endless, each one a story waiting to be told. And ours, born in the fluorescent glow of a late-night Walmart, was just getting started.